My dad actually committed suicide when I was 14, I believe. And that led me down a very, very dark path. I did not grieve with that appropriately. And with that, I actually attempted my own suicide.
When you came out of the hospital, how difficult was it for you after receiving the care and resources and support there to transition back into the community?
It was a lot of relief when I told my mom, it will be okay. Like, even if you did something terrible, it will still be okay. I guarantee the thing that is going on in your head, that all these worst case scenarios, most likely one of them are not going to happen.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stronger Than the Storm, the podcast where we hold space for real conversations about mental health, resilience, and the power of lived experience. We're your hosts, Melissa Owen.
And I'm Kenny Rodriguez.
Each month, we speak with guests who weathered the mental health storm and found strength, clarity, and tools along the way. Today, we're diving into a powerful personal story, one that touches on daily life, family, long-term goals, and what makes healing possible. We're honored to be joined by Felicia Davidson, who's here to share not only the challenges she's faced, but also the protective factors that have helped them move forward. Felicia, thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me, Melissa and Kenny.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Well, let's get started. So, I kind of asked you as an impromptu, would you like to share your lived experience? Because you have been very open about kind of your mental health journey, things that work for you with your protective factors, and really what you're working on for your mental health. You want to share part of your journey with us today?
Yeah. So I guess the main things in my life that kind of led to me having a mental health journey in general. My dad actually committed suicide when I was 14, I believe. I was in high school. And that led me down a very, very dark path. I did not grieve with that appropriately. And with that, I actually attempted my own suicide as well as a freshman. And I went to a psychiatric hospital and I was able to get a lot of help through that. However, it didn't stop my problems. I still did not process any of that correctly. Sorry, my brain just shut off right then. I didn't process that correctly. And so I just continued to get myself into relationships that weren't necessarily good, whether that was with friends or like my ex-husband, for example. I got pregnant right out of high school. And I still struggled a lot with anxiety, depression, things like that. Sorry. I still struggle with it, but I've been able to find a lot of things to help myself through it. For example, getting a divorce, that helped significantly. However, mental health, getting the help that I needed actually through therapy, medication management, and just finding appropriate coping skills, I think has helped me get to where I am. And I feel like I'm finally at a point where I'm doing well mentally and I might be able to sustain it at this point.
Okay. When you came out of the hospital, how difficult was it for you after receiving the care and resources and support there to transition back into the community? Were you able to have the same type of resources and support? Were you able to find that? Were you connected with that? Or were you given maybe like a toolkit when you left to kind of use on your own?
Yeah. And so since I was so young, I relied heavily on my mom. My mom knew a lot about resources. She still does. She has her own depression, anxiety disorders that she is handling. And with that, she already knew what she had to do in order to get me that kind of help. She went through it with my dad. And then with my two older sisters, we all are just a little crazy, and that's okay. Good crazy, whatever. But because she already dealt with it with my sisters, my dad, she knew the appropriate places to actually take me. It was more or less after that a matter of me taking that and utilizing it in the appropriate manner. I think I put myself in a lot of situations that weren't great afterwards because when you're in a mental hospital, it's so structured. They have exact times, they have all these things that you have to follow and rules and guidelines. And then I got out and my mom just she got me the help I needed, like therapy, medication management, things like that. But the actual structures weren't always there. And I think the other part that was really hard is I was in high school and I had just missed like a month and a half of school. And going back, I went to a charter school. And so there were about 11 students in the entire, like all the high school class. And so they all knew about it. And I was fortunate that most of them were pretty understanding. It was hard to adjust back to school. My grades were terrible. They tanked as well. And that was disheartening because I was always a straight A student prior. So I think adjusting, especially in high school, can be really hard just because of, the fact that you're out of school and there's a whole big schedule shift. But I do want to reiterate, I was very lucky to have my mom through that and be able to guide me to the appropriate resources.
So you're an adult now. How old are you?
I'm 28.
28. Okay. What have you found that is the most effective way to deal with anxiety, depression, all the techniques that you've learned? What is the one that is your bread and butter that you can go to all the time?
I think for me, finding that supportive person that you can actually talk to, like for a long time, it was my mom. It still is most of the time. However, I do have a couple friends that are like backup, even though they're my best friends. Like they're amazing. But if I can't reach my mom, or if I am in such a dark place, I really struggle to talk to my mom about it anymore because I don't want to worry her, because even in that dark place, thinking about suicide and things like that, I know I won't do it just because I have a child and my dad did it to us essentially, and I can't do that. I can't leave him like my dad did. But it's really hard for me to tell my mom, because I also sit there and I think, what if my son had to talk to me about these things? Of course, I'll always listen to him if that happens, but it would be incredibly hard for me to hear because I just love him so much. Like he's perfect. And so I don't know. Sorry, I kind of went off there.
Speaking of it, talking about your son and how you wouldn't want him to talk to you about that kind of thing. How did your mom take it the first time
So the first time I ever actually opened up about it, it's kind of scary actually. I had already collected like a bottle of pills from her. She's got a lot of physical ailments, and so she has some really strong pills, and I just slowly started taking a few over a couple of months because I was the one that would fill her pill case. Like I was the trustworthy child. And she was actually at my sister's school dropping her off, and I called her because I didn't want to go to school. It had been a long time. Like I was actually truant at that point. I did not want to go to school though. I hated being alive, all that. And it was the first time I ever really thought that deeply about it, I guess. And so I just called my mom and I was like, listen, I love you. I don't really want to do this anymore. And then I was going to take all those, but she rushed home. And so I think it was terrifying the first time I talked to her about it. It's probably really heartbreaking for her to know that. And that's when I went to the hospital. And then so I like broke this news to her. I was going to do terrible things to myself. And then I was gone for like 2 weeks and couldn't really talk to her except over the few phone calls you get. And so I'm sure it was heartbreaking.
How is it now? You said that you can still utilize her as, a main support after your experience in the hospital, and then she was so supportive at home. Did you feel she was hypervigilant with you for a while, as far as, ensuring that you were doing okay, those dark thoughts weren't coming back in or anything like that? Did she make you feel normal as you could feel coming back and trying to go back to school and trying to improve your grades and dealing with all that?
I think she was as much as she could. I mean, my mom is sick. She's a very sick individual. She would go to bed really early. But other than that, like she tried to embrace everything that I went into. Like I was the kid with colorful hair. But it was like my whole head that time. And I got piercings and things like that. I was rebelling, but she went with it as long as it was done professionally, like the piercings. And I was not doing crazy things like a bunch of drugs and all that. She was fine with it. She didn't really care as long as we're expressing ourselves and actually getting through our feelings in whatever manner it is. Like I love art. And so I would do a lot of darker art, like skulls and things like that. And she's not a fan of that, but she was like, you draw what you want to draw, you do what you want to do. And I feel like she still is that way in a lot of sense. But obviously now I'm an adult. I live in my own home. Like we are separated. But she does check in with me at least once a week. And she does this with all three of us. And if we don't respond within X amount of time, she's going to call us like 5 times in a row until you answer, which is annoying, but great because
it's a mom's job and any parent's job.
Yes. And it's really nice of her to do that. She knows I do isolate myself a lot, even from her. And so it's really just, hey, just checking in, just say, hey, I'm alive. It's all good. I don't know. It's really nice, especially now that she was already an adult, but now that I'm an adult, that we can have that kind of relationship. And it doesn't feel like she's necessarily overbearing on it either. So I feel like she actually had a really good balance of it.
That's great. Because a lot of times I know when I talk to other individuals, especially in the high school, that when they have an experience like coming out of the hospital, trying to transition back, there's that hypervigilance of the parents so that the child or young adult never gets to feel normal. And that's their label is they have a mental health challenge or they have a mental health issue. So everything kind of shifts to almost tiptoeing around to not, produce any triggers when it sounds like you had the opportunity to express yourself. And although she may not have liked it, but she was rolling with it because it was helping you and it was allowing you to shape the person that you're still becoming. I mean, honestly, and I think that's awesome. I think as parents, where you hear your son or daughter has a mental health struggle and immediately, what did I do wrong? You internalize it quick. Well, I'm always that open parent to come to, we can talk about anything, and we say that, but still, even as adults, we go to a peer first. We're not going to go to our parents or, for fear of what they might say or try to brush us off or something like that. So to hear that, I mean, you were terrified, but what type of being terrified, was there a sense of relief that she knew, that somebody knew really that you had reached the point where you felt like this is my option. This is what I'm going to do. Was there any sense of relief when you went to the hospital that, okay, you're going to be with people who are going to help you and you're going to be able to reframe your thinking maybe, or?
So there was a lot of relief when I told my mom, because she also even brought my sister home. She didn't even let her stay because she knew my sister and I were close. And just the fact that both of them were there was very relieving. The idea of going to the hospital terrified the shit out of me, the crap out of me, the poop. I don't know if I can say that.
It's the internet. You can say what you want.
Okay, cool. But it scared me a lot. And it probably wasn't until like one of the last 2 or 3 days that I was actually moderately comfortable there. This is kind of a side note, but something that made me so comfortable is when I went, and this is really gross, I know, I had not brushed my hair for like a month. I have very long hair. I have always had long hair. And I got there and it was just this big old ball on my head, and they make you shower and do all your daily hygiene every single day. And so I just kind of washed it in its little ball for like 2 or 3 days. And there was a girl there, and she's just the most amazing person. I still have her on Facebook. Her foster mom was a hairdresser at one point. And so she was like, because I was starting at the top, trying to get my little ball out. I finally was comfortable enough to try to do that in front of everyone. And she was like, oh, no. Sit down right here. And she basically begged the nurse for any kind of detangler, even just straight up conditioner. She didn't care. And she just sat there and she was like, just the sweetest thing. She was just sitting there. She's like, you always start from the bottom. And like, oh my God, it makes me want to cry. Sorry. But like, I think that helped a lot in the actual hospital just because it was so and I don't want to say abrasive, but kind of abrasive, like a shock to your system because you're so used to like being in your little isolated corner, especially when you are that far. To then have to go and you can only have your socks, you can't have shoes, you can't do certain things. Like we couldn't even have pencils because someone had attempted to do stuff with their pencils like the week before I got there. Sorry, I think I side railed, like completely went off to the side there, but
No, not at
No,
all.
I'm
'Cause
so
it shows
sorry.
the power of connection.
yeah.
And, you just never, you had a connection in a stranger essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds like it was a turning point for you if you still have her on Facebook in that
Yeah.
moment. Because I know, and people who are really, really struggling, taking the shower, boy, that's a huge feat for them to, hey, I took a shower today. And that's a victory that you celebrate because when you're in that depressive state or your anxiety is so high where you just can't function and are just paralyzed, you don't really care
Yeah.
at the point. So I think that's amazing that, that to have her do that for you with no judgment,
No.
just trying to help.
She genuinely made the experience for me. Like, yes, I went and I got medicine and there were doctors and it's great, whatever, but she was the most personable one out of everyone. She was the one that made me feel okay in that moment. Comfortable.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So what's like, go ahead, kid.
No, I was just gonna say I can. I had to. We hospitalized my daughter when she was 21, 22, and it was I was on duty at that time, and I rolled by and I saw her car window was shattered, and so I texted her and I go, "Hey, your car window got shattered. What happened?" "Well, I did that." And I'm like, "How did you do that?" "I punched it." So I call her and I go, "Everything okay? What's going on?" And she wouldn't say much. And I'm like, "Are you thinking about hurting yourself?" Because I was like, "That ain't normal. She don't just do that. She don't have an angry bone in her body, you know." And when she told me that she was thinking about hurting herself, that was like a punch in the gut. And it was, I can feel, I know how your mom felt because it's like the most helpless feeling ever. It's like, and then we couldn't talk to her for, uh, once she got up there, she didn't want to take any calls. And that was another punch in the gut because we're like, what did we do wrong? I mean, why is she mad at us, But it wasn't anything to do with us. It was just I don't think she wanted to talk to us because it was embarrassing, maybe. But she's learned to cope with a lot of things, and we've learned to cope with it too, and be a little bit more uh, attentive to what is going on. So yeah, I can definitely see where your mom was at as a parent.
Well, and that was actually maybe 8 months after my dad died.
Oh,
So I feel like it was even more of a hit as well. But because that happened, I feel like it also almost made it not easier. I'm sure it wasn't easy at all, but it's like she already felt that pain before. So it wasn't new, at least, if that makes sense. So it wasn't shocking like it was, but it wasn't. I don't know how else to explain that.
she was probably a little bit numb still from the first.
Oh, absolutely.
Probably,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That first year being in shock. And so now
Perfect.
you're 28 years old and you have a son, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Who I've met, and he's super charming and super cute and artistic. Yes, very artistic. So what's life like when things get chaotic for you? Let's say, you know what your triggers are, I'm sure. And when you start to feel that to rise and you don't have somebody to talk to, maybe your support, they're unable to, you're not able to reach out to them or they're unavailable. What are some other techniques that work for you that can really bring your levels down?
I mean, some of these might be cliche, but I journal. I think writing it down because at least then it's out somewhere in the void. It is not just in my head. I do a lot of art as well. I do little doodles because you don't have to think when you're doing it. You just fill the page and that's it. That's all you have to do. I also walk a lot just because I'm alone at that point. I'm listening to music. I can actually kind of get in tune with some of the things that I'm thinking because I don't realize some of the triggers are even happening until I'm in this mood. And then I go on a walk or I do journal or whatever I'm doing. And I start to break things apart finally, which I think is easier when you're talking to someone. But sometimes I have to do that for myself. Put on my big girl britches. But
So bougie.
very, very. I don't know. And honestly, spending time with my son as well is another big coping mechanism. I feel like a lot of parents shovel all their feelings down around their kids. And I don't sit there and like, I am so depressed with my almost 9-year-old. Okay. I don't do that. But the fact is he's actually incredibly empathetic and like he can tell, he knows how I feel. And so he'll just sit there and he'll be like, hey mom, I see you're watching this. Do you want to play some Legos while we do this? Because apparently I think that's your favorite thing in the world. It's not. But he sure does offer the Legos a lot. And so we play a lot of Legos and just literally anything. And sometimes I'm like, I'm not really feeling like that. And so he's like, okay, I'll just cuddle with you. And yeah, your child's not your coping mechanism, but it's really not beneficial, but helpful to have him around as well. Sometimes he even goes on the walks and then I learn literally everything about every rock we see on the way, which is great.
Absolutely.
Lovely.
What are some techniques that you found maybe don't work that you've tried before? We always talk about this works for me and this works for me.
Yeah.
I try to dabble in people's suggestions of things that are kind of outside of the box for me. And there are just some things where I just wouldn't do again.
I don't really know.
Your support team, do they really know you and know, okay, we're not going to suggest that to her because she's not going to do that? Or do they try to get you kind of outside of your comfort zone at times when they can feel or sense that maybe you're starting to self-isolate?
Well, I guess sometimes, like my best friend Nicole, I love her to death. Sometimes she'll be like, okay, well, we should do a girls' night or something, and that's fine, whatever. But then she wants to go somewhere that I cannot handle at that time. Like for example, I love Gravel City Roasters. I think it's great, but there are certain times of day I don't go there because it's very busy, and I know it's going to just trigger me. While yes, it'd be super awesome and kind of a coping mechanism. I guess another coping mechanism is like shopping, but that's terrible. Don't do that if you don't have money. But like going to Trox and looking around and then going to Gravel City, she'll buy me a coffee or vice versa, whatever. And that's great. But do not ask me to do that at like 8 or 9 in the morning. They're very busy. Don't even bother. Thank you. And then the other thing, this one's really dumb, but riding a bike, I won't do that because I don't know how. And so many people are like, I'll just teach you. I'm like, no, you won't.
Bikes are intimidating. They can be very intimidating.
Yeah.
Just when you're going downhill.
That's right. And then you can walk it back up. It's fine. No shame.
Fun fact, my oldest sister taught the middle sister how to ride a bike by pushing her down the hill, but she didn't show her how to brake.
Oh.
And so she just face planted directly into monkey bars. And that's why I would not let her teach me. And that's why I don't know how to ride a bike.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
You could always get one of those balance bikes that you just push with your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. My son has one of those. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could probably use his. It's all good.
You probably could. So what's life now with responsibilities? You're working full time, correct? So
Yeah.
balancing your son, your relationship. So how do you keep it all balanced
While
while still making your mental health a priority?
it can be hard to do that. I mean, I think everyone has a struggle with their balance. I think at my actual day job, they're super good at checking in. Like my boss is amazing. She's very much like, do you need a minute? Are you okay? And like we can take mental health days and she's very understanding, things like that. I haven't had to in a long time actually. Just
That's
because
great.
I love my job at this point. But I think another thing, I like being busy, and that's something I've learned kind of recently. I enjoy being busy. Like I'm a part of Beacon for Hope, on the board for that. I'm also on the board for 2 other things, which they're a little less hands-on than I am for Beacon, but I have a very strong passion for what Beacon does. I don't know. I think the biggest thing is I always make sure that I have at least 30 minutes to an hour every day that I can do something that I enjoy, even if it is like with a friend or with my son or whatever it is. As long as I'm enjoying it, I feel like it's helping me. It's beneficial. Like for example, at lunch every day, like I sneak my lunch a little early and then I go on a walk. I'm walking every single lunch moving forward. That started about 3 weeks ago and it's helped a lot. Because I just think I can think about the things that are going on and actually process some of it away from my desk. Cause that is something I used to do. I used to just kind of hang out in my office, eat my food there. It's already a table. Look at that. But getting out of that is really nice too. And I don't have to feel guilty that I'm not around my son because I wouldn't have been anyways. I don't know. And then I am also in a relationship. I'm married. That's happening. I don't know. I think that's going well. It's thrown in there.
Every relationship takes work.
I like the
Yes.
finger gun.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, I'm happy in my marriage. It's a good marriage. I don't want to discount it at all. I love my husband very much, but I mean, it's just a part of life and it moves in with all the other things. Like I'm trying to get him to do some volunteer stuff with me. So that way it's not a date, but we're spending time together and that's nice. It's beneficial. Yeah, I don't know.
So how has your husband been a support to you? And how long have you guys been married?
We've been married. It'll be 3 years in November. But we have been together and living together for I think 7 years now, almost 8 years. I think he's been a good support because I've known him a long time. We were friends even before we started dating. And he knows a lot of things that other people don't know. And so I can talk to him about a lot of things. When it comes to mental health, I don't think we are always on the same page, but something he has definitely demonstrated in our marriage is he's willing to see that and recognize it and work on whatever he needs to understand where I'm coming at, even though we don't agree on everything, obviously. But that's also kind of a sore topic. It's something we're working on because I'm a very depressed gal. It's my nature. It's just kind of who I am. It's something I've been working on since 2011. So it's a hard challenge for me. And I actually kind of feel bad sometimes because he has to learn about it and deal with it. But it's something he's doing. And that shows a lot of support, in my opinion. The fact that he's willing to learn about it and try to know as much as he can. I don't know. Sorry.
So does he struggle with any kind of anxiety, depression?
He says no.
That's the right answer.
He says
He says it's good, right?
he's good. He's good. There's your thumbnail. Beautiful.
So you talk about guilt, not feeling guilty about not being with your son, and you feel guilty with your husband having to learn about these types of things. Does guilt ever hinder you from speaking out when you know you kind of joke you're a depressed gal and you've learned how to live with it and you just know that's in your framework?
Yeah.
But are there moments where I know a lot of times people feel like a burden, so they don't say anything?
Mm-hmm.
So that guilt kind of consumes you to where you're good, you're
Yeah.
fine, right? You've got the fake smile
Mhm.
on, you got the mask on, just trying to get through the day to hopefully be able to get 2 or 3 hours of sleep, maybe
Mhm.
that are consecutive to try to start over the next day. Does that ever prevent you from reaching out to your support who know you so well, especially in those times where you need that support? Do you self-isolate or do you
I
utilize your protective factors?
I do to a sense. Like with my husband, I won't necessarily talk to him about it a lot of times because I do feel like a burden. But one thing my dad used to say all the time, he would talk about how he was a burden. He was blind, he had renal failure, he was in a wheelchair. He just felt like a huge burden to all of us. But I think the biggest thing that taught me losing him in that aspect was that he was not a burden. Him committing suicide was the burden for me. And that might sound a little selfish, but the biggest burden is the fact that he ripped himself away. And so I do talk to my mom. I force myself to talk to her, or at least my friend Nicole, because she knows she's been there in the darkest moments. So she understands, she knows that it can get really dark sometimes when I'm talking. Most of the time I don't mean anything that I'm saying, but it comes out because it needs to come out. And so for those two people, I don't feel very guilty to talk to them about it. I know for my mom, it would be a much larger burden if I was gone. Same for Nicole. And I think the same for my husband and pretty much everyone, but it's a lot more difficult if someone doesn't have experience with those mental health disorders to really understand where you're coming from. Because when I say things such as, I don't like myself, or I hate myself, or I just want to die, I want to leave, things like that, it's so hard for example, my husband. I feel like I'm picking on him. I'm not. He's not the first person I've talked to that doesn't understand. But for example, he doesn't really get it. And then he's almost like, well, wouldn't you want to stay for me? Like, what are you talking about? Like, look at Christian over there playing with his rocks. And so it is more difficult. And I do feel like a burden with specific people. But other people I know, like, they'll listen to anything I say. I could literally fart in the phone and they'd be like, thank you for calling me for that thing. Just like that.
You're talking shit, are you?
Yeah.
Just a wee bit.
Wow.
Wow. Just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit.
Sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. Yeah, you picked a touchy subject. Can you bring it up the husband?
Oh, yeah. We're actually in couples therapy.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
You're totally fine.
What's your husband's name?
Daniel.
Daniel, I am sorry.
It's okay. Daniel probably won't watch this. If he does, I'm going to just.
Daniel, she just doesn't understand.
It's okay. Daniel doesn't understand.
Kenny, I want you to speak directly to Daniel right now.
I just did. I said,
and tell him that mental health, it's okay to not be okay. And
That's
that
true.
every man struggles
Yeah.
in one way or another. And it's okay to admit that.
It is true. I mean, you're going to go through one part of your life where you struggle. But I think for men, it's even worse on being the burden, like I can handle this. I don't need to let anybody else know, as I've struggled with anxiety all my life and I didn't really know what it was. But now that I'm older and I know, I mean, it is true that men will keep that to themselves just because they don't want to be that burden on family members or friends or their job. And yeah, you don't have to find somebody that has been through it before and, be your buddy.
Yeah.
Trying to talk to them about it.
I think fear too is a lot when you're with somebody who does struggle and is open about your struggles. You want to communicate it. And when that's not your experience of not struggling with any mental health, not struggling with a traumatic loss of any type, that it's uncomfortable to hear about. And so you just discount it where it's not that bad, right? What do you have to be depressed for? Your anxiety shouldn't be all these things, but they are. We don't choose to be anxious or depressed. We don't, but our experiences shape, our journeys, and they just do the things that we encounter. So it's always interesting to me of individuals who are fortunate enough not to have those traumatic experiences. And then once they do have a loss, suddenly their whole perspective changes. Their whole mind opens up and they can finally relate a little bit to you. And it's unfortunate that for some, it has to take a traumatic event in their own personal life that directly affects them to be let their guard down to talk openly about mental health, even if they feel like they're not struggling or could benefit from services or resources or anything like that. Because we all struggle. Like Kenny said, there's always going to be a time in your life where you're going to go through waves of, wow, this is really hard. One hit after another. negative things. And then, then you have the upswing and things are great. And you kind of look back and are like, wow, I can't believe I went through that. But a lot of times people aren't going through it, they're going around it. So the next time the wave hits, then you're even in more trouble. So, but it sounds like you have in place, when those are. And I think it's great, especially in public spaces. It's so hard where people who have anxiety, especially, and I can relate this to my daughter, where she feels like it would be rude to leave the situation rather than take care of her own mental health. And so I really reiterate with her you don't have to stay in a space that makes you uncomfortable. You can get up and leave. It's okay because it's not worth the anxiety. And then, when your anxiety goes up and then when you come back down, how you feel, you're exhausted and all of that. And then the worry, is that going to happen again in the situation? So I applaud the fact that you're like, you know what, from this time to this time, no, I'm not going to go to Gravel City Roasters because it's too stimulating for me. There's too many people, too much noise. But you want to meet up at 2? Fantastic. When it's a lighter time. So, and I think a lot of us, we're such people pleasers that we're afraid to say what's good for us, where other people are like, yeah, there's just people around. I'm one personally where a lot of people normally don't bother me. I can kind of tune them out like kid toys. But this past weekend, with all the extra people we had in town, I went to a store and I couldn't get out of that store fast enough just from all the movement and the talking. And it was just too much. And when I came home, I told my kids, I'm like, usually I'm pretty go with the flow. And they were like, wow, it must have been really bad. Then I was overstimulated. And it took me a little while to get my anxiety down. So I like to sit in the sun. So go out and try to chill, texting my best friend of, holy cow, don't go to Dylan's right now because, it's 4 p.m, but everybody's there. And, so then we just talk about random things. I don't want to talk about what I'm experiencing, but hey, how's your cat? Because her cat had been ill, preoccupy me, right? Give me something to do otherwise. And then you're exhausted when you come back down. So I really like the fact that you're able to say, no, I'm choosing my mental health. I'd love to hang out.
I would like to put it's not new, but I feel like, especially in the last probably 6 months, 7 months, it's gotten significantly better. I've gotten a lot more strong. One thing, well, I guess there was 2 things my ex-husband gave me that I actually appreciate. One is my son. I love him to death. But 2 is the fact that I know that I'm worth so much more than being treated so poorly. And I think after so many years of not being with him, I kind of let that slide a little. And working customer service almost my entire life, and being a people pleaser, I did let a lot of that slide. And here recently, things just got so bad. My mental health was bad. I was in a low, and you're right, it does come in waves. And right now I'm definitely in a much higher point than normal. Than normal, but you know what I mean? I'm at a high. I don't know why I sidetracked Sai. No, you're good. But
So, anyways, I don't know where we were at before,
Yeah.
right?
we were somewhere.
She realized that she found her worth
Oh, yes.
after stepping out of that first marriage.
Yeah, the first marriage was not physically abusive, but emotionally and mentally, which is basically the same exact thing. But I always feel like I have to throw that out there in case people question it. I don't know. I'm weird.
So he's a narcissist.
Oh, yes. Yeah. They say you marry your father.
Mm.
I done did it. But no, I did find my worth, and I did let it kind of slip back. Like I said, we are in couples therapy right now, and I think part of that stemmed from me letting things slide. Not that my husband is any kind of anything like my ex. He's not abusive by any means, but there's just a lot of things that he would do that hurt me mentally. Like for example, for a long time in our dating relationship and even after being married, I felt like if I told him things he said was hurting me, then he would feel like he would have to walk on eggshells and hence I would be a burden and I would be hurting him. But realistically, I'm just telling you to use your brain before you speak. And that is actually exactly what my coworkers told me. And it's true though. I shouldn't have to feel bad because I put thought into things before I say stuff. And if I don't, he's like, "Hey, what? That was really mean." And I'm like, "Yeah."
He calls you
I'm so
out.
sorry. He does. That's
Yeah.
the thing. And so I need to basically put forth that same effort of calling him out. I don't know. I also went to a conference and they had this motto in one of the trainings, and I'm sure everyone knows about this motto, just not me because I'm a little tiny bean here, I guess. I don't know. But it's clear is kind, and it's absolutely true. And like I've even used it when working for customer service or with customers. I'm like, clear is kind. I have to like chant it in my head almost before I say the thing that I know they're not going to like. So like, for example, I work in WIC, and some people aren't eligible for WIC. It's an income-based program. And so I have to sit there and I'm like, clear is kind, clear is kind. Yeah, you don't qualify. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then they leave. Like they don't do anything bad. I don't know what I think they're gonna do in my mind. For some reason, they're just gonna rip the cabinet up and throw it in my face. I have no idea. But I have to almost like chant that to myself. I don't know. That was a really helpful phrase to learn though for me. It's clear is kind because it really is. Sugarcoating seems really nice when you're anxious, but you're just beating around the bush. Just like, hey, yo, you can't have this thing, or no, thank you. I don't feel like that. Things like that. Just be very straightforward, and things work out better for you.
They do, because we're not mind readers.
Mhm.
That's a problem too with people. The misunderstandings, I think, happen a lot. But yeah, I've never heard clear as kind before, but I like that because you're right. Sugarcoating things, it just elongates the inevitable of what the bad news is going to be.
Well, and I thought it was interesting. Brooks actually was talking about clear as kind and the assist training, which I was like, okay, awesome. You're right.
That's something I missed. This assist training.
It is.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I was on overnights. I
I know.
was tired,
I know.
and I didn't want to do anything.
How dare you work?
Don't worry. We'll organize another one that you can be part of.
Okay. Anyways, I think it's funny that you said we're not mind readers when most women expect men to be mind readers.
Oh, I agree with you 100%,
Yeah.
Kenny.
Accurate.
Oh my goodness, that is accurate. Because why are you mad? What's wrong? Nothing. Right? Because we expect you to know that when you asked me, hey, can I grab you a pop out of the garage fridge? And I said no, I really meant yes. So when you walked in the room and sat down with yours and I'm here with nothing, you should have known my no meant yes.
Yeah. I can actually say that my wife doesn't do that to me, so I don't
That's
have to read
nice.
her mind. So
Yeah.
if she wants something, she'll tell me.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's no secret language that I have to decode to figure out what she wants.
And that's nice. Yeah. I would much prefer a direct. So you're not, is this what you meant when you said this? Just tell me what you need. I teach that to my kids, even at their ages. Like, mom's not a mind reader. So just tell me what it is and we'll go from there. But it's hard when you feel like a burden to communicate what your need is without fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of them discounting, if you say, maybe you're out somewhere. I used to have to deal with panic attacks. So I could be out in a public place and my heart would ramp up and I felt like I was about to pass out and trying to maintain composure because I'm surrounded, by all these strangers. And I sure didn't want to ask any of them for help because I knew what it was. Once I knew what it was, it made it easier. Or if I had a situation where I knew after the event, the panic attack would hit because that's how I deal with things, unfortunately. It was hard to communicate, well, no, I can't go there because there is the possibility I'm going to have a panic attack. Oh, well, I'll be there. You'll be fine. That's not how it works because you could have 1,000 people in the room and you feel alone when you're going through any type of mental health crisis, for sure.
What does a panic attack feel like?
For me, it starts with I can feel the cortisol going in my body. So I start to feel hot in my shoulders and it feels like it just radiates down my arms. That's how it normally starts. And I get that intense nervous feeling, like when you have to talk in front of a bunch of people or you're afraid of a result of something, just that pit. And then my heart, I can start to feel my heart in the back of my head. So I know that my blood pressure is going up because I know the panic attack is coming. So I'm holding on tighter to prevent it from coming when that's not possible. And then normally I will find a place to sit down because I know I will get that woozy, like you're really lightheaded feeling. And then my heart will just start to beat about 100, between 120 and 130 beats per minute. And then once it hits that is where it's going to sound very odd. I'm comfortable because I know, okay, so here we are at the peak. Your heart rate is really, really accelerated. How do we get it down? So I pace and I stop. I do the, 4 in, hold 4 out, and then I pace. I'll sit down. I'll take my pulse again. Oh, okay, we're at 115 now. It's working. So, and it can last anywhere from 5 minutes for the whole cycle to go through really fast, which are the more intense, scarier times, or 15 to 20 minutes to where then finally I'm seated. My heart rate's around 80 beats per minute, and I'm good, and I am physically exhausted. So that's what panic attacks feel like for me.
What about you? Have you had a panic attack?
Yeah, yeah. I'm Susan, sir. Yeah. Mine. So you drink Red Bull. Have you ever had like 3 in a sitting?
I have a very high tolerance for
Oh, okay. Like
caffeine.
70.
It's nothing to brag
Okay.
Yeah. I drink Black Rifle coffee too, and that's like
Goodness.
3 cups in the morning,
Just mix that in with the Red Bull.
and then 2 hours later, Red Bull.
Okay, well, never mind. But yeah, it's very much like your heart is definitely racing. I know, like I get very hot as well. My face actually will turn red. Not every time, but when they're severe enough, my face will turn red. Most of the time, I'm already crying by that point. I can't hold it in. I cry a lot when I'm being yelled at, especially. And then I shake a lot. Like my hands get really shaky, but I also I don't know if you've noticed already, but I like shake my leg a lot. I've done that forever. But for the vast majority, I'm most definitely in flight mode. Like I want to find any way out of that situation, especially like, for example, at the store, I will start speed walking. And if I have a cart, move, get out of the way. My husband has already learned this. He can tell when I am going into a panic attack at the store because he takes the cart first off.
For everybody's safety.
Everybody's safety.
I'm just like, broccoli, bread, check out. Okay. And then I like walk out of the store and I take a really big sigh of relief and everything's so much better. Literally just sitting down in my car because all the people are out there and I'm still in here and I'm better. But like, for example, at work, I can't do that. So I shake through it. I haven't had as many panic attacks at work in quite some time because now where I work, if you're mean to us, you get the stanky boot. Like you have to be really, really horrific to us, but still, at least we know we're protected in that sense. So I think that helps significantly with the panic attacks. But I do still get pretty anxious and I'll get shaky still. And then I'll talk with a Southern accent. And that's how my coworkers are like, okay, push Felicia out of the way. We're going to take over. That sounds really weird. My dad was from Tennessee and my mom's from Oklahoma. And I didn't realize how thick their accents were until I get nervous.
That's really interesting. I've not ever heard that before.
My dad's would like thicken too when he was anxious.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. That's how you know I'm scared of you.
Let me hear your Southern accent.
I'm not nervous right now.
Good. How about you, Kenny? What are your experiences with panic attacks? Or do you have any experience?
I don't like hearing what you guys, that's why I ask, because I don't know that I've ever had one. I've had anxiety. I've had, to the point where I feel like everybody's looking at me and that I did something wrong. And any gesture they make that might be negative, you're like, is everybody mad at me? But I haven't had the elevated heart rate, the can't breathe. I sometimes I've heard that it feels like a heart attack. So I that's why I was asking about your guys' experience, because I think I've been lucky enough not to experience a full blown panic attack. I've experienced anxiety, but I haven't, experienced that. What almost sounds like you guys it's out of control of what, you can't do anything to until you just got to ride it till you get done with it. But yeah, I don't think I've ever, I, in all my life, I mean, I think the only time that comes close to it was when I was in high school, and you talking about the cortisol and all that. When I was deathly afraid of speaking in public. Like 18-year-old me couldn't do this today, So, but I remember feeling the blood rushing out of your head, and it was for speech class. I was like, oh my god, I don't want to do speech, and I just froze. So that's probably about the closest I could say that I've ever come to a panic attack, if you consider that attack. I mean, other than stage fright or whatever.
I think one of the
But
worst things about panic attacks are it's the fear. When's the next one going to be? Sometimes when it is so scary or it's unexpected where it happens because it's never happened there before, when it happens inside your house, okay, you're at home, you're around your things, you're familiar, you can get to your car. Okay, just get me in my car. Okay, I'm safe. I'm alone, or with whoever I trust or whatever. But if you're in a situation, I can remember being at an airport down in Tennessee one time, first time I ever traveled alone, and walking through the airport trying to find where the rental car counter was, which was overwhelming enough with all of these people going back and forth. And all of a sudden, that feeling of the blood just like leaving your head. And I took a step, but it's like I wasn't stepping correctly. And I thought, wow, I'm really lightheaded and sheer panic. Here I am in an unfamiliar state. I'm here for 6 days. And I haven't even gotten to where I need to be yet. So it was the fear of, am I going to feel this way the whole time? Just in constant anxiety mode. But then I got into a routine, knew where I was going, and felt control. I think that's the worst part with the panic attack. You have no control.
I don't know about you, but I also get, not every time, but I'll get irritable, especially in that particular situation. And I don't mean to be, but it's like literally people will try to help me because they can tell I am in distress. And I'm like, you can fuck off, even though you're genuinely trying to help me. But you just looked at me and that's so rude. I hate you.
Right.
Like that kind
Right.
of moment. I get so irritable.
Yes. And you're lashing out and just go into the other room. Just leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
Or yes, people want to assist you, like you're physically hurt. And you're just, there's a little bit of embarrassment that goes along with it. I think when you're in a public space or even around people you're comfortable with, when you're in like a non-triggering atmosphere. Maybe you're out to dinner and all of a sudden you feel that anxiety building and it's like, why are you anxious? So I have those talks in my head. They're not always positive of what are you freaking out for? There's no reason to be anxious right now. But sometimes with me, my best friend likes to tease me where she's like, normal people, whatever normal is, their baseline is like here, right? They're handling stress, getting the day to day. She's like, your baseline is always up here because you're just a little higher strung than most because you have so much on your plate all the time. And my mom has always said, can you ever just like sit down and relax? I don't know that you don't know how to sit still because, okay, I may be sitting there, but I have a laptop because I can multitask and watch whatever it is. And I'm really not paying attention, though it was suggested, hey, this is a really cool series. I think you'll enjoy it just to chill, right? Nope. There's a wasted time. There's something else I can do. So I have a hard time. I contribute to my own anxiety because of that sometimes, because then I start getting resentful because I have all the stuff I have to do and I've put it on myself. And I'm just in this cycle.
I know what that's feel like. Having all sorts of work that you got to get done because you put it all on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Or for me, like at the police department, I'm like, oh, I don't have to do this report today. I'll do it tomorrow. Then you get handed 6 more, and then you're like, I'm just going to shut down. I'm not going to do anything.
Yes.
I'll handle it next week. I'll be in a better state next week.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I've learned over the last few months that the only way to get through that anxiety of doing what you have on, taking care of what you have on your plate is just to take care of it.
Yes.
For me, I don't know how that is for everybody else, but for me, the satisfaction I get when I get caught up is so much.
Oh, and it's so freeing.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, everything is done. I was having this conversation with my best friend this morning. I said, I have so much to do that I feel like I am in that task paralysis because everything feels like a priority to me. So I don't know where to start. So for me, I need the visual to
Mhm.
see that things are getting done. So I open up a sticky every morning on my MacBook and I list what needs to be done. And then the fine art of the strike through when it's done is like, oh, like currently I have 2 things left on my list that I need to get done today. And I had something unexpected pop up today. Like you said, oh, you have the one report, right? Well, I had a major thing that popped up today. So immediately it was like, I need to switch gears and do that. Talk to my friend. And I said, you know what? I can't. This is what I need to get done today. This is going to have to be on my sticky for tomorrow, and I will get it done tomorrow. I just need like 2 to 3 uninterrupted hours to get it done. But yeah, that feeling, it's almost an odd feeling when I'm all caught up. It's guilt. I should be doing something. I've forgotten something, right? I don't have downtime. What is that?
See, my thing, when Christian was first born, my son, I had a notebook and I love making lists. That's actually a coping mechanism for me, is making lists of just literally anything, but I do make a lot of to-do lists. And I never finished any of them. None of them were ever completely done. However, moving forward, that's kind of a side step. That's how I started with these lists. Last year, so we plan the breastfeeding bash every year, and that takes a lot of work. And I apparently just went through, I made so many different to-do lists and none of them were done. And it was probably a month later and I was cleaning out my bag and I saw the lists and I took them out and I'm like, "Ah, these stupid lists." And I look at the first one, I'm like, not these aren't all checked off, but I've finished all these things by now. And like I just kept going through all those lists and I actually completed every single one of these lists, even though I did not go through and actually check mark them. I did not do them on the exact timeline I was expecting myself to do it, but I did it. And it was really nice and reassuring to see that. And so I know that even though I am not getting all those things done in the exact order that I thought mentally I had to do it, I'm still getting it done, which is pretty impressive. And then the other thing is literally just starting. Just start. If I can do it for 5 minutes, I typically at that point I'm like, well, I might as well finish it. And so I do. As long as I don't have my son distracting me, or not that he's a distraction, but you know what I mean. Like as long as it's distraction free, I typically will get it done.
And I think that's important of just starting. So this morning when I'm sitting in front, I'm like, okay, I have this meeting and I have this meeting, so I can't get started until, but I have 45 minutes before the first meeting. I realized a half an hour in that I'm a person that has to have the background noise. That's soothing to me, whether it's a show I've watched, a lot of times I'm not even paying attention to it, but typically I like to turn the music on in my office. And I realized it's so quiet in here because I got so in tune with what I was doing that I even said out loud, well, you didn't even turn the music on, but now it's time for your Zoom call. So you would have turned it off anyway. And I got a major thing done. And then the Zoom calls went really well. And one Zoom call, I had no idea what it was even going to be about. So I had all this anxiety, that pit in my stomach. I could feel the cortisol because I didn't know what they were going to ask me. They wanted to learn about our organization. And it turned out to be, I had all the worst case scenarios. I'm not going to have an answer. And then I'm going to look, I'm going to be embarrassed and all these things. It was so positive. I was so excited when I got off of the call because it was great interactions, contacts, and things like that. And then it was, ooh, okay, let's switch gears into the next thing. So then I was like, okay, I've got this to-do list, but it's okay. I can do this, even though I still have 2 things still sitting on there. If they don't get done today, they'll be there tomorrow. But yeah, the just starting part sometimes is where I get stuck in the cycle because I'll just start here and I just start there and I just start there, but nothing's done.
Yeah, I get that. I do that. And I did it today. Did it today on yard work. I started on part of the yard, then I saw like, oh, there's a weed. I gotta cut that down. Oh, go back to what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's and the same thing for my video work. I do oh, I gotta put everything, build the timeline, and I want the idea that I want to do is put everything in order that it needs to be. But then I'll go and start color correcting, and I'm just like, just do this, then color correct.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's hard.
It's very hard. And it's very hard to try to get things done when you're struggling too. Because I know when there are days where the weather really impacts my mental health. When it's cloudy and rainy, I am so unmotivated. And it's this forced feeling all day long to, well, you have to get these done. People are relying on whatever I'm working on. You made a commitment, and I'm just wiped out by the end of the day, where a lot of people are, oh, it's so nice and relaxing. It is a stressor for me because it impedes my ability to go out and do the things that I need to do. But then I already know that my motivation, like tomorrow it's supposed to rain. I'm like, great. So it's gonna be a hard day to get things done that I need to get done tomorrow.
For me, it's the jury. Well, I can't talk. The miserable, constant rain, no lightning, no thunder, no light show. But
Yeah.
on a thunderstorm, oh, I get come alive on a thunderstorm.
Really?
I don't know what it is, but I can.
Whew.
I go out and I just love thunderstorms. I hate constant rain. It just it brings your mood down.
It does.
But for some reason, violent thunderstorms and tornadoes, I love that.
Violent.
Start throwing in tornadoes. I'm good. I'm solid.
Yeah, right. Yeah. To me, I hit thunderstorm. I'm like severe weather. It's going to be, potential for tornadoes. And I don't like that. I know my daughter doesn't like that. So her anxiety is going to be high, which means mine's automatically going to be high. And it's just, if it can just rain, if it has to rain, just rain. But, or be violently, severe weather when it's daylight.
Yeah.
So I can see it coming.
I don't like, I like the light show that thunderstorms provide at night, but I'd rather see it during the day.
Yes.
But, and if it's going to rain like that constant, just constant rain, I would rather have it at night so I can use it as white noise,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Started walking recently, and I like walking outside because walking on a treadmill is the most boring thing ever.
Yeah,
you're just standing there staring at a wall like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, running's the same way.
Have water all over your face.
Yeah.
But like outside, you can look at stuff, I guess, supposedly, if you have eyes that work. But when it's raining like that, I'm not going out there. I do not want to be out there just damp.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's not raining and it's just cloudy and gross and humid, it's not happening. And then so I don't feel motivated because I didn't go and walk or do whatever I needed to do. But then I also feel like I have just way too much energy bottled up in my body and I can't do anything with it. And it's so frustrating.
And we've talked about it before, about the benefits of physical activity when it comes to mental health. Because I know I utilized the gym during my own divorce. That was great. That was just part of my day. And if I didn't get to go, it was almost devastating because I'm missing out. I know that mentally I'm not going to feel clear. My body's not going to feel good of, kind of sweating out the day. Because I used to go at night, which was really nice to end my day. And I always looked forward to it of, okay, I know it's going to be a stressful day, but hey, I'm going to hit the gym. It's going to be fine. And then when it's taken away, like when COVID hit and we couldn't go into the gym, I was devastated because now what am I going to do? I panicked. This was my mental health protector. So what was I going to do? So I bought every type of at-home thing, from the step aerobics, way back in the day, to the elastic bands, was doing yoga, Pilates, you name it, I have it now. So I have that reassurance of, well, I can do it at home too, but knowing and paying to go somewhere will get me
there. Yeah, paying for a membership. Yeah. I'm going to be honest, sometimes it doesn't get me there.
I'm going to be honest too. I've been donating for a few months now to the gym. And they have not seen my car swiped in months.
Yeah. We just switched gyms. So, the Emporia Training Center.
Nice.
They got some nice weights and stuff like that, but we still haven't gone. We switched last week, but I don't know. We're going to go tomorrow, I think.
And it's just starting.
Yeah.
Right? It's that one other thing that you just have to start.
But I do have to say walking.
Oh.
We started walking, me and my wife, and she started before me. Of course, she started with the we word and wind walk and stuff that pays you. She's all about coupons and getting paid. And she works at Michelin, so she gets to walk all the time. But she's got a lot of her motivation initially started by, well, I'm going to walk and I'm going to make this money. And then she started losing weight. She's like, oh, now I got to walk. I'm addicted to it now.
Mm-hmm.
So then I bought her a weighted vest. And myself one too. It's like 20 pounds extra. You just put on. And she was going 4 miles for, like nothing. And I think we went on her walk and she couldn't make it all the way. She's like, okay, I'm done. This is heavy. So I was like, yeah, it is. But you probably burn more calories with walking with
For
your mom
sure.
than you did walking the long distance. So, but walking it's being outside and walking and doing physical activities just gets that, for me, my mind right and feels
Yeah, I
good.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to put in my music and just kind of I enjoy other people's their landscapes, you get ideas. I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And walking by other people, it's interesting. I was always taught that you acknowledge who you walk by, and sometimes it's offsetting to people to, morning or, evening or whatever they're taken aback, but you tell it changes their moods.
Yeah.
You acknowledge them. Just
Yeah.
you noticed. So yeah, I love to go out and walk. It's just I've gotten so out of the habit because I feel like I have this to do that my mental health priorities of well you're good, you're getting things done, but at the end of the day you shouldn't feel exhausted every day
Yeah.
mentally getting them done.
I feel like I can feel the same way because I do have a lot of other things on my plate that I try to get done. Like I'm trying to do my own business. Like there's so many different things I'm trying to do, but ultimately I know I'm not going to do literally any of them if I do not get up and move my body in one way or another. Like I have to at this point. I have kind of become addicted, if that's actually a thing. Like it's something I feel I have to do in order for me to have a clear enough mind to even focus on any of it. It's really important, actually, and it's kind of crazy that I avoided it for as long as I did, because I did. I was the kid that would be like, I'm sick in gym. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm on my period. I can't walk. But now I'm just very much into it, and it helps a lot significantly, actually. Though I don't like doing it with other people because I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like I like to have my headphones in so I can zone out, but then also I normally go a lot faster when I'm on my own. And that's not like someone slowing me down necessarily, but it's like I will stare at the end of the block until I get there. And that is my focus point, and that is where I am. And then I get there significantly faster.
Well, that's because you're talking to the partner that you're walking with,
Yeah.
and that's dividing your attention.
Probably.
But sometimes when you have a partner and you're walking, you might be walking fast and you don't realize it, and then you get to where you're going, and you're like, oh wow, we're already here.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm just picking the wrong partner. If that's the case.
I think there's benefits to both. I like to walk with my dad. He is taller than I am, and so he has a quicker gait. And so sometimes I'm like, he challenges me when we walk. And I like that. I like the connection that we're able to have. I like the conversations we get to have, keeping up to date and being able to spend that hour together, because typically it's about an hour. And then I like the time by myself too, just to be alone in my thoughts. It allows me to think when I physically remove myself from where all the work is that I need to do. I'm able to think about the work more clearly and more organized. So it doesn't feel so chaotic. And when I get back, I jot it down and it feels organized on my list. So it's not so overwhelming and paralyzing. And then sometimes it's hard when somebody does slow you down when you're trying to, I'm here for my mental health. And when you tell people, well, I'm walking for my mental health, they kind of get taken aback. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't you feel just when you're done exercising, mentally I feel good. I notice I sleep better. So then I wake up ready to go. When I am doing just walking, just getting out there. And then that leads to, oh, well, maybe I want to get a little more intensive. So go to the gym, do some weights, add just a little bit to challenge myself. And I think that's rewarding too for my brain anyway of, wow, so like walking with a weighted vest on right now, I'd be like, there's no way. But, a couple months of consistently walking might add 5 pounds on, and challenge myself to see if I can still go my distance and still being able to talk and breathe properly.
Yeah.
like, man, that looks like it hurts my back without even wearing one.
Yeah. Yeah. And with it being warmer out now, I use the excuse of, "Oh, it's too cold outside," right? Well, the gyms are indoors.
Yeah.
So you can go to the gym, but you have to get to the gym. So it's every excuse that my brain, and I think a lot of other people, "Oh, well, I'm tired. Well, I have this. I have to get up early. Kids have this going on, all these responsibilities that we have." And then I always have to look at myself and be like, when did you decide your mental health wasn't a priority? You're just asking for an hour to just allow yourself that hour without the guilt of, well, I could get this done in that hour, but I'm going to do this instead for myself. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll even do something like rather than just listening to music, I'll listen to a podcast or an audiobook while I am exercising. So that way I can be like, well, I'm educating myself as
Sure.
well. So I am kind of working. I'm still being productive, but I'm also walking. That way, if I do have guilt, which I really haven't had much guilt about it, because I'm like, I got to do this if I want to do my job. But it kind of adds a little spice to it, I guess, too. Like you're learning a little as well. So I don't know.
How does that help you, especially in your job of working out and everything that you're dealing with every shift?
Well, you have to work out, not only for your mental health, but just because um, if you don't and you meet that one person that wants to hurt you really bad, um, it could be fatal. So recently had a fight with another guy that was twice our size, me and another officer, and I thought it was like a minute or two of a fight. It was only 30 seconds, and I felt pretty good afterwards. So I was like, I was didn't we got it. What we needed to do, we accomplished it. But if I was 10 years ago, well, I'm 20, 15 years ago, I'll be like, and I remember being like that, you're like, can't trying to catch your breath and you still breathe hard, even right after a fight with somebody, a wrestling match. But you're not, you don't really notice it until you watch the video and you're like, but my statement was always, man, I got to get in shape. And then I would do nothing about it. And then I'm riding on luck, I'm riding on luck and the knowledge I have from high school wrestling and my martial arts experience. But if I run into somebody with the same skill set, I would have been in bad trouble. I would probably been, unalived. But and I see it in these officers now that need to prioritize physical fitness, because if you don't, and that's something we're trying to change. We're trying to change the culture. Me and another officer, and we like, oh my god, today's Monday, so every Wednesday we go in together. I thought I missed my workout, so so every Wednesday we'll go. He works Wednesdays. Every other Wednesdays I work every other Wednesday. So um, we'll go in on our Wednesdays, no matter what, if we have to work or not, at 4:45 and get a good 45, 30 to 45-minute workout, and just going through the day of, punishing your body for 45 minutes makes your whole day go a whole lot better.
Oh, yeah.
And it's it's I think we're trying to what we want to do is implement a fitness standard within the department, and not because we want to see people lose their jobs. I don't know if you know this, but if you're a police officer, you're 5 years after your retirement is, that's all the first, most on average, most people make it. They die 5 years after retiring. So,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and I want to, change that within our department. People, I want our officers to be able to have a healthy life outside of law enforcement and not be, you know, 100 pounds overweight and can't enjoy their retirement, because along with that 100 pounds overweight becomes all those medical problems that you have to deal with, and especially the stress that you're not dealing with,
Mhm.
by, that doesn't go away after you retire,
Right.
it sticks around. So we're trying to change the culture, and part of that's trying to get, the city to see that it's not about, earning extra money, because we don't want the money. We want a standard. That's all we want. Just want a standard. Whatever you decide that you want to give us after, that's on you. We just want a standard. And I think we have a good shot of doing it. The chief's definitely on board. He works out. All our admin, they work out. Lisa Sage, she went to the National Academy and she got in great shape for it. Within our admin, there's a culture of fitness there. And then within the younger officers that are there, they work out. And even the officers in their 30s or 40s, some, they'll, like on my side of the week, they'll work out. I can't tell you on the other side because I don't see that. I'm not there all the time. But at least I know they do it. And it's a good thing, because you can't just ride on luck the rest of your life.
Right. Yeah.
The majority of the time we wrestle and do our defensive tactics with the suspect that doesn't want to go to jail the majority of the time. And we do that more than we pull our gun. So
Yeah.
So there's a lot more higher stakes in your physical fitness and learning, martial arts that will help you on the street. So
Yeah.
I think that's the question you asked, right? Okay. It was so long of an answer, I couldn't remember if I was good.
Yeah. I didn't know that about law enforcement, that typically it's 5 years after retirement.
Typically, yeah, on average. The stress level that I think I sent that TikTok to you. On average, a person has one or two traumatic events in their life, and a police officer has at least one traumatic event every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stress that goes into being a police officer. And then then you're being judged by everybody that way you did your job. You could have, and I'm not naive, and there's bad officers out there.
Sure.
I don't have those bad officers in my department. I mean, they all want to do a great job. They truly care about doing a great job and protecting people's rights.
I think ultimately, if you are struggling or unsure, just like it will be okay. Like, even if you did something terrible, it will still be okay. I guarantee the thing that is going on in your head, that all these worst case scenarios, most likely one of them are not going to happen. It's just going to be something a lot smaller, but it is always okay. Like, even if it's a death, you just have to go into it. And I know it's really hard when you are on your lowest point, but you have to go into it with the mindset of it will be okay. Like, I'm a birth doula, and part of that is actually talking about just enduring through the childbirth. And that's one of the most painful things a woman will go through if they choose to do that, especially without an epidural. But the entire thing is you're just pushing yourself and you're pushing yourself. And at the end, you get something out of it. Whether that's a baby or a lesson or coping skills or support, like, it will be okay, though. You just have to endure through it, even if it's really hard.